Welcome all to Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and Kyle Castles here. And Kyle, we are excited to get a lot of great conversation going here, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But thank you for checking out Dad's Watching Sports. If you're streaming us live, definitely give us a shout out. We're streaming across our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. You can check us out at facebook.com/Dad's Watching Sports or youtube.com/Dad's Watching Sports. Or we are also broadcasting live on the All Access Sports Network Facebook page. Check out All Access Sports Network for all kinds of great shows. We endorse them all. They're all great. They're wonderful. They're the best shows you've ever seen and ever listened to. And we are one of those as well. And so we appreciate you checking us out. If you're listening to us wherever you download podcasts, thank you so much for doing that. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our show, because we know you want to listen to us each and every week because you want to hear what Kyle Castles has to say. I mean, who does not?
And what I want to say right now is you went total Trump on that. It's the greatest. It's the best. It's
the greatest. It's election week, man. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. You're not getting away from that topic later on in the show.
Yeah.
While you're there, shoot us a subscription, rate us, give us a review, all the above.
5 stars.
We appreciate. Oh, of course it's 5 stars. We're 5 stars across the board. TJ's already jumping in. Howdy, boys. I'm guessing that's supposed to be a howdy, or is it just an
howdy?
Howdy as in like belly button howdy, or there it is. Howdy, boys. Yep. My man TJ. We appreciate you joining us as always, TJ, and thanks for all the comments throughout the show. Kyle, how are you doing today, man?
Man, I'm making it. I wish I could tell you that I was refreshed. We gained an hour of sleep and all. No,
we're going to talk about that later too. That's just a complete hoax, and they build it up like, oh, parents, you get this extra hour of sleep. Heck no,
you don't.
That does not happen whatsoever. I know it's probably been a good time in your household as the Dodgers ended up winning the World Series. So we're going to get to our guest here in just a second that's going to talk all about that. But first, Kyle, I got to ask you, your wife and your father-in-law, diehard Dodgers fans.
Yes,
I've been waiting since 88 for this. How was it embracing them and welcoming them back as champions of Major League Baseball?
Well, for about 2 days, that's all Lauren talked about was the game and who she talked to and the things that were happening. And I would try to change the subject, and she would kind of blow it off and go right back to.
But the Dodgers, remember
the Dodgers
that just happened, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't blame her at all. She was there. She got to see. She got to see her team win a world championship in person. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know that it gets better. And, for my father-in-law, hopefully I'm not stepping on our guest toes, but my father-in-law cried at the game.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. So did the conversation go to, well, honey, the next time the Saints are in the Super Bowl or the Cubs are in the World Series, I'm going, right?
So that was mentioned. And what I was told is, well, Dad bought the tickets and Dad paid for the hotel. So if you can get somebody else to pay for the tickets to the hotel.
Okay.
So I'm putting that out there to you, Mr. Draper.
Well, I was going to say if there was a way that one of my teams could play your teams, but NFL and MLB, I'm not.
It's not your bag.
I know, but we've hinted at our guest several times, so let's go ahead and bring him on here. Welcome to the show, Mark Jent. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to Dad's Watching Sports.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
So tell us just a little bit about yourself. Clearly, we can see by looking behind you and the sweatshirt you have on, you are a big Dodgers fan as well. But tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, kind of the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So I've called Nashville home for about 25 years since I came here to college to Lipscomb University back in the mid-'90s. Originally from Lewisburg, Tennessee, small town about an hour south. My wife and I have lived here ever since. And we have 3 kids. They are 8, 10, and 12. And we live here in the Creve Hall neighborhood of Nashville. That's a little bit about myself.
There you go. Well, Mark was kind enough to send us a picture of the family. Look at them all wearing their Dodgers stuff.
There we go.
So, Mark, I know it was a huge week last week for yourself. We'll get into that in just a second. But tell us a little bit about the business that you're involved with and the things that you do in terms of setting people up to go to sporting events.
Yeah, so that picture is from opening day with the family, by the way, July 23rd, after the long-awaited anticipation of opening day. We sat there and watched opening night together. So Simply a Fan, I launched it in July of 2018, and really the vision of it came out of it's got twofold purpose, but really the vision for it came out of just wanting to provide people an adventure that they might not have otherwise. I enjoy planning, I enjoy logistics, and I enjoy taking people on adventures that maybe they have dreamed about, but they haven't been able to pull together, or maybe they've never even thought about before. And we've had some awesome adventures over the last 3 years now. So one of it from Simply a Fan is the trips, the adventure side of it, which I can talk more about. Yeah. The other side is I just love storytelling. I love the vision of story and what that means and how we all just have our own story. But for baseball fans in particular, what I'm most intrigued about is when I go to people and I say, hey, what's your baseball story? And it's kind of a unique twist where most people haven't been asked that question. And it's that if they have, they've never been asked to write about it or they've never been interviewed about it. So it's been a fun last 2.5 years, both taking people on adventures and then also just collecting stories and giving people a platform on the website to share their story.
Yeah, that's really cool because I think, sports is just something that just brings out kind of the best in people. I mean, sometimes it can bring out the worst, but it can bring out the best in people. And I think the part that you talked about highlighting people's stories because people like us that are, I mentioned with Kyle, the Saints and the Cubs. For me, it's I'm a big University of Kentucky fan. For you, clearly, it's the Dodgers. But people connect themselves so much to their sports teams, and when they can experience something like that, it's just I would imagine it's just really, really cool to witness.
It is really neat, and for a lot of people, like for me, it's who influenced you. It's all about like who helped you become a baseball fan. Who is that person in your life, and that fostered that love of baseball. And it's been really neat to just have people really open up and share their story. One in particular that I can just think of was the first story I put on the website. And it's a guy by the name of Ron Rabinovitz, who grew up in the 40s and 50s in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And by a crazy chain of events, he met Jackie Robinson as an 8-year-old kid. And he became pen pals with him and would write him letters back and forth during his childhood, and he kept those letters, and he got to be good friends with him throughout the years up until when Jackie died. And I met Ron a few years ago, and upon meeting him, I just really found his love and appreciation for baseball, and just his story has been told many times over. But for me, that was just a really special bond, and for a lot of people, when they share their story, it's just generational. Whether it goes back to their dad or their granddad or even their mom. And then to see people passing it down as well. Having got to know Nathan and Lauren over the last few years through some Dodger adventures, it's been really neat to see that father-daughter bond that they have and to see that they've been to 2 World Series together now. It's been really neat.
Well, not just the 2 World Series. You took them up there to meet Carl
Erskine.
Carl Erskine, yeah. And they raved about that trip. I will say, Mike, I've heard some of these stories and you haven't, but Mark is really good at what he does, and it's probably best to let him do what he does, because if you don't, sometimes you book a hotel for Arlington, Virginia when you're in Arlington, Texas.
If I remember correctly, I think I read something about that. Oops, father-in-law. That's out on the airwaves.
Whoa! I never said it was a father-in-law.
Hey, you heard him, Mr. Nathan there. Kyle calling you out on the podcast, man. That's ballsy. There's no doubt about that.
He should have let Mark run the trip for him. That's all.
It was a great text to receive from Lauren when I found out that Nathan, who had planned their portion of this last trip, ended up he asked me what hotel I recommended, and I said the Hilton Arlington. I sent him a screenshot of it, and he got the Hilton Arlington in Virginia.
Well, that's a great story that they can continue to tell, and it worked out so well with the Dodgers winning as well. So we'll get to that in just a second. But just really briefly before we get to move on to the actual World Series and that experience, just tell all of our viewers and listeners where they can find out a little bit more information about what you got going on and where they can follow you on social media and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So you can go to simplyfan.com and read about all the stories that have been posted. No upcoming trips currently with COVID, but you can see some photo galleries of past trips, and you can subscribe to the newsletter. Scroll down to the bottom, simplyafan.com. You can have a mailing list where people get the latest on stories and trips, and then you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and follow us along those lines as well. So,
excellent. So Mike, who's watching us on YouTube, says that's awesome. Mike, thanks for checking us out. We appreciate it.
Mike Jones a shout out. This is his sweatshirt, by the way.
Nice.
Monday night, before I took off for a last-minute adventure to Game 6, I could not find my Dodger pullover, and it is 38 degrees in Arlington. And I was like, I got to have something. I text Mike. He's in Murfreesboro. And as a true Dodger fan, but even as a better friend, Mike drives 45 minutes to meet me at the Hardee's on Haywood Lane to pass off this sweatshirt so I could wear it to Game 6. And
nice.
So there was a part of Mike that was at Game 6.
Absolutely. Well, the question is do you give that sweatshirt back to Mike, or is that kind of a good luck charm now?
I know it. I think he said he's never going to wash it. So.
I definitely wouldn't. Well, let's get into the World Series. Before we send some banter back and forth, Mark sent us this awesome video. So Mark was at the game. Mark, anything you want to set up with this video before we play it?
Yeah, I'll just give you. I mean, to plan a trip to any World Series game, I mean, it takes a bit of spontaneity and last minute. So I'm sitting there just to give you some insight. I'm sitting there. My plan the whole time was, can I get away after they win the third game? I want to go to the next one. I just want to have a shot to go to the next game. They may or may not win. So Saturday night, I'm on my couch with my kids watching the game. We're ahead in the ninth inning, and I've got the airline booked. I got the hotel booked. I got somebody who's got an extra ticket, and the ninth inning meltdown occurs.
Yeah.
And I have to quickly I have to come stunningly off the couch and realize what's just happened. But then I was planning on, Game 5, Sunday night, Kershaw on the mound. This could be epic. Well, I quickly had to cancel everything. And I just thought, let me rebook it for Tuesday, Game 6. Which worked out better in my favor and for Simply a Fan, because I had nobody going with me to Game 5. But then I had 48 hours to sell a few spots to Game 6. So after Kershaw and the team and the bullpen won on Game 5, then I got on my horse on Monday night, and was able to get 4 or 5 people aboard to go who probably weren't thinking about it and who weren't going to go otherwise. And that's a lot of fun to pull together. Plus, had some other friends that were going to be there, like Nathan and Lauren.
Nice. Well, let's take a look at what Mark, Nathan, Lauren, and a lot of the Dodgers were able to check out. So I'm going to share my screen here, guys.
My final out video. Here you go.
That's right. This is straight from the source here.
Okay, here we are, top of the ninth. 2 outs. Dodgers are up 3-1. Game 6 of the World Series. We're up 3-2. Julio Urias is dealing. Oh, I'm nervous. Whew. This feels great. Arlington, Texas. Pandemic. Neutral site. Shortened season. Strike 2. Dodgers are 1 strike away from winning their first World Series in 32 years. I became a Dodger fan in 1991. I have never seen my team win the World Series. Here we go.
So there you have it. Now, guys, I've got to say, so Kyle knows me very well. I am not a baseball fan. I appreciate baseball, but I'm just not a huge fan. But man, I've got goosebumps watching that. That was awesome. So, Mark, tell us just about how amazing that was to be there to watch your team finally get over that hump and win the World Series.
It was. You couldn't plan it. I mean, you couldn't prepare for the emotions of what you experience. Man, I know it's sports. I know it's a baseball game, but at the same point, like, it's more than that. Like, that I've been really fortunate over the years to be at some really cool events, and I've been at the All-Star game. I've been at 2 World Series game ones. I was there in 2017 at Wrigley when the Dodgers clinched the pennant for the first time in 29 years. But this right here, like, I couldn't prepare for it. Like, you couldn't plan for it. I mean, it finally hit me at the bottom of the 6th inning when we went ahead 2-1, which I think we're going to talk about later. There just was a sense of we might do it. There was a sense of this might actually happen. Then when Mookie hits the bomb and it was right below where we were sitting, there was just like this overwhelming, like, wow, we're 3 outs away, And for me, one of the most special things, and not only having a few people there through simply a fan, but then to have some friends there. Like, I had a friend on my left who I've known for over 30 years, who I was in high school with and in youth group with back home, Andrew Buzan. He actually had my game ticket that he bought 3 weeks ago when they went on sale to the public, and he had a single ticket. And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to have a game 6 ticket if you want it." I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go to game 6. I'm going to go to 4 or 5, or I'll go to 7. Like, no, Andrew had game 6. And then to my right was my friend Coach McGehee, who was my high school basketball coach, who at 6:15 that morning called me and asked if he could go on the trip. And he didn't have an airline ticket and didn't have a game ticket. And this man has been like a friend and a mentor to me for 25 years. And like, to be able to experience it like that, but to be able to sit there and to see that finally, after 32 years, after all that they have, when they have come really, really close, they haven't quite gotten there. And then just for this to happen in this season, that, they stayed healthy. They had the best team in the league the whole year. Like, so everybody had questions with the quirky playoffs and the shortened season, what's going to happen. Hey, the best team won. I mean, they were the best team during the regular season, and they persevered and won through the playoffs. And just to be able to sit there and, like, strike 1, strike 2. I mean, Julio Urias on the mound, like, who would have ever thought he would have been closing out? Right. The last guy to do that was Orel Hershiser, and you don't, that's a common household name, but right. It was so surreal and incredible that it'll stay. I mean, it's been 5 days later, and I'm still floating on it, still thinking about it often.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The only thing that even comes remotely close for me similar to that is in 2014, I was in Arlington, Texas, in Jerry World, and saw Kentucky playing Connecticut for the national championship game. And this was, I was hoping this is going to be my time to finally see my team win a championship in person. And was it Kimball Walker, or maybe it wasn't Kimball Walker, but somebody else for UConn that played for UConn that year had different ideas, and the Cats ended up losing. But that's fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit about the World Series. Kyle, I'm going to come to you first. I completely agree in the fact that the Dodgers were the best team all season long. They were the team to win this World Series, and they were the best team. But Kyle, did the Rays manager blow Game 6 by pulling Snell out early? Because everybody says that he did. Even Mookie Betts after the game was like, "Man, I didn't know what he was doing, but I'm glad he did it." Did the Rays blow that, or did the Dodgers just make the plays at the right time?
So I can't say he blew it. Here's the thing. That's the way they've pitched Blake Snell all year. He's come in, he's thrown roughly 75 pitches, and hopefully in those 75 pitches can get through the lineup twice. And he had been through the lineup twice, and then Mookie comes in and gets the single. Mookie, right? Or was it Austin Barnes? Maybe Austin
Barnes got the single.
Barnes, yeah. Austin Barnes at the end of the second trip through the lineup. And so it's 72, 73 pitches somewhere in there. It's exactly the way they've pitched him all year, and it's got him to the World Series. You don't change that, right? You dance with the one that brung you. is the old saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they blew it. And here's the deal. Maybe they keep Blake Snell in, and maybe he shuts the Dodgers down for 2 more innings, and the Rays end up winning Game 6. I'm glad that didn't happen because I think my wife would have been gone a little bit longer because I think Mark had some pretty good tickets to Game 7 that my father-in-law and Lauren were going to buy off of him. And I'm glad she came back when she did. I missed her. But I don't think that Walker Buehler loses Game 7, especially when I think the Rays would have had a bullpen game that game. So I don't think he blew the World Series because I don't think they win the World Series if it goes 7.
Okay. So Mark, what about? I mean, I know the Dodgers fans were ecstatic after the game, but when that change was made, were you guys like, oh, I can't believe this? Is it kind of what y'all expected? And was that the kind of the talk around Dodger Nation afterwards? Is like, man, we got away with one here.
Yeah, I never will forget. I was sitting I had gone down to see Lauren and Nathan at the end of in the middle of the 6th inning. I went down to their seats, first time I'd seen them all day. And I was kneeling down by their seats there on the front row of the section they were sitting in, and was right there when Austin Barnes got that base hit. And then I got a video of them taking Snell out, and we looked at each other and we were like, wow, okay, what's happening? One base hit got him out. I mean, so did Kevin Cash make the right move? Yeah, he made the right move, of course. Like, hashtag Kevin Cash for president all day long. I mean, and Kyle said, I mean, this is the game plan they had gone with all year long. This is what had got them there. Do I think he probably made a mistake? Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, the guy's your horse, and he's pitching. He had a 1-hit shutout going, a pitch earlier. I mean, on some level, the analytics are so good, and they will get you. That's what got the Rays where they were. But at the end of the day, like, he was dealing. I mean, the next 3 guys coming up in the order, Mookie, Seager, and Turner, were 0 for 6 with 6 Ks against him. I mean, that says a lot. So there was just this collective sigh of relief when he got out. Now, the Rays have a pretty good bullpen, but not only did they take Snell out, but they also brought in the next guy, Anderson, who had given up runs in his last 6 postseason appearances. So it was a collective sigh. And then I stood up there at the top as Mookie got the double, Barnes scored on the pass ball, Corey hits the ball to first base, and Mookie races in to score. I mean, it was going electric. And at that point, you thought, okay, we have a shot.
Yeah. Mike Jones comments again, let's not forget about the Dodgers bullpen matching Snell K for K through 5 and even more after that. Too much good pitching. And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, had the Rays held on to the lead, that wasn't even going to be obviously a topic of conversation. Yeah. So, it's hindsight's 20/20 for us to be able to look back. That was the conversation really of the night of. Shortly after the game and everything afterwards has really been more about Justin Turner and the test results and pulling him out in the 8th inning and then coming back on the field. So what is y'all's thoughts on, Kyle, I'll come to you first. He gets removed from the game, have him in isolation. Dodgers win the World Series. He comes back on the field. There's some shots of him with a mask, without a mask. He's kind of involved in the whole celebration. Just some initial thoughts from you, Kyle, on that whole ordeal.
Look, he had been playing the game without a mask in the 1st inning, right?
Correct.
2nd inning?
He may have worn a mask. No, yeah, go ahead.
3rd inning, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th inning, he was out there without a mask while there was a positive test that was being tested. So it's not like he tested positive in around the 7th inning and all of a sudden now he has COVID. It was just discovered at that point that he had COVID all this time. Which means what? Which means all of those players in the dugout with him, which means Dave Roberts in the dugout with him. They've all already been exposed. Now, that's the easy answer. I was reading, and hopefully I don't step on anybody's toes here, but I was reading something earlier today, and probably my favorite Dodger pitcher, Joe Kelly, was only because he's the one
because he's outspoken. He's outspoken. Yeah, that's
exactly. And he's the one that threw at the Astros and actually had a much longer suspension than the Astros players for cheating. Yeah. And he was throwing at them for cheating. So I'm a big Joe Kelly fan. His question was, how does Justin Turner get COVID when we're in a bubble? And he basically called Major League Baseball out and said, this is all on you anyways, Major League Baseball, because you did not secure the hotel you put us in to keep COVID out of there. So screw getting mad at Justin Turner, get mad at yourself. And I was all on with Joe Kelly.
So my question to both of you then, I'll come to you first, Mark, is if you were in Justin Turner's position, you had been removed from the game, you were in isolation, your team wins, you have worked your entire life for this moment to be able to go out with your team and celebrate a World Series. Are you going out there to celebrate, or are you staying in isolation back behind the scenes?
I think if I'm a 35-year-old athlete who's played baseball for 30 years, and this is the pinnacle of my sports career, and I just got taken out in the top of the 8th inning, and you know that you're missing being out there with your teammates, and your teammates are calling for you, your teammates are wanting you to go out there. I think any 35-year-old athlete that has just reached the pinnacle of what they have worked for their entire professional career, yeah, you're going to go out there.
Yeah,
you're going to go out there. I mean, sitting there at the game, I look up in the 8th inning, and I'm like, why is Edwin Rios playing third right now? And then Chris Taylor's in left and Kike's at second. I'm like, what's just happened? Like, we have no clue. I'm like, did he pull a hammy? And, we didn't find out until after the game. But I just think for Turner, like, would I have gone out there? I would have tried to. Yeah, for sure. And I think he's gotten unfair. And I think it's been really unfair how he's gotten vilified in the media, because most of the media who are doing this about him, the people who are hearing it, they don't know who Justin Turner is. Like, he has been one of the two faces of the franchise for this team for so many years. He's been the heart and soul of the team. He's won community. He's gotten the Community Player of the Year award for so many years. Him and his wife have done so many things. And then people say, yeah, but he put so many people at risk. But like Kyle was saying, all of those people, he had just been around forever. And so, a couple of things. We can always say hindsight. If Justin Turner had known then the fallout that would happen later, would he have made the same decision? I don't know. Maybe. He hasn't come out and publicly said anything yet. But at the same point, he could have had no, let's say this. How many players this year got pulled out of a baseball game because of a positive COVID test? One.
Yeah, I was thinking how many.
In the 8th inning of the last game of the season. This had not happened. The 110-page manual that Rob Manfred put together, like, you kind of throw it out the window in Game 6 of the World Series in the 8th inning. Like, it's unprecedented. So what the decision he made, it was the whole thing was unprecedented. But I'll go with what Kyle said. Like, how did it even get in the bubble? But two, how did this test come back during the game and not pregame?
Yeah.
And how is the fact that, we don't have to go down the rabbit hole of it, but typically when a player tests positive, they don't release the name of the player. Like, the team just says a positive case. You don't hear for days until the player either does or doesn't give his consent or is not on the team that you figure it out. So, there was a leak there that's a big HIPAA violation, but, nobody's going to sue over that. But the same point is just like it was an unfair, unfortunate. It overshadowed the next 48 to 72 hours of what was a great season, and really how Major League Baseball accomplished everything that they did. For 60 days prior to that, there were 0 positive tests, and you're telling me with 2 innings to go in the World Series, there's a positive test. But so very unfortunate, very unfair. Hopefully that will not be the narrative that people remember of this 2020 Dodgers team. And, I think he's a free agent. I think Justin Turner's coming back. They'll give him a 1 or 2 year deal.
Yeah.
And he'll be back as he continues to be the heart and soul of the team.
Yeah, I think he'll finish his career there in LA.
Well, and I think I agree with both of you all. I think anybody that's vilifying him for doing that has never played a single inning or down or whatever of sports in their life. Because if you've waited your entire life for that moment and your team is wanting you out there, you're not going to stay back there. Could he have done a little bit better job of maybe separating himself? That maybe. but nobody in their right mind is going to stay back and not celebrate what they have worked their entire life for in that moment. We're going to have to go to a break in just a second, but before we do, one last thing I want to get into, Mark, and we're so appreciative of you coming on and telling us all this great information about not only what you do, but this the experience that you guys had there. A lot has also been made about Clayton Kershaw's place in history. I mean, the guy was already seen as one of the most dominant, one of the most complete, one of the most best pitchers in baseball, if not of all time. He finally gets a ring. So just Mark, very quickly, kind of where do you see his place kind of falling? We know he's going to be a shoe-in Hall of Famer, but just kind of in the grand scheme of pitchers, maybe even in Dodgers history, where do you see Kershaw?
Yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer, with or without this ring, he was. But I mean, this more or less, like, this completes his resume that people were like holding out there. Yeah, but like, oh yeah, Kershaw's won the 3 Cy Youngs. He's won the MVP. He's got the lowest ERA in the modern era. Like, he has set so many incredible records, but there's always that but he hasn't won the big one. But he's choked in the postseason, like the monkey off his back. And Clayton Kershaw has had a lot of great postseason starts. The thing that's been to his disadvantage is early in his career, he was called on too much too often when they didn't either have other starting pitchers, so he pitched on 3 days rest, or they didn't have a bullpen. And but he has had his fair share of where he's had bad moments. But I mean, this postseason, he came through. He went 4-1 with an ERA under 3. He went 2-0 in the postseason. He went 2-0 in the World Series. I think his place in history. I mean, it's not done. I mean, the guy's 32 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, he's still pretty young, a lot younger than Scherzer, a lot younger than Verlander. He could go for several more years and continue to compile and continue to climb up the ranks. The comparison to Koufax has been there since he was 19 years old. That picture I sent you earlier.
I was going to say, speaking of that, we'll throw a picture up here of so he's 19 years old in this pic. 19
years old. So this is March 2007 in Vero Beach, Florida, down in Dodgertown. He had been drafted the June before, so he'd been drafted 9 months before. And I was there. That's my only trip to Dodgertown, and I was actually on the backfields of Dodgertown looking for Sandy Koufax, just because he was known to be there at times. And I was actually out there looking for Koufax, but I found Kershaw. but all I knew was, hey, that's our first draft pick from last year. Let me get a picture with him. And little did I know that he would become Clayton Kershaw, who he is today. So, his place in Dodger history it's going to go down in historic lore. I mean, he's going to be up there. He's already up there with the greatest, if not the great. His comparison to Koufax. And as far as all-time history, time will tell. I think that's one thing that once he's on that stage in Cooperstown 5 years after he's retired, and you can get the final stat lines in, but this completed his resume that really didn't need to be completed. But man, it feels really good to know that Clayton Kershaw won a World Series, and that video of him running out of the bullpen is that's one of those chilling moments of, like, for anybody who's a Dodger fan or a Kershaw fan, it kind of sends you chills up your spine. You're like, hey, he finally won the World Series.
Yeah, I agree with that. As somebody who's not even a big baseball fan, when he was running out, you can tell he's kind of looking into the heavens, thinking, like, "Thank you, God, this finally has come." That was really cool. Kyle, any quick thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think Clayton Kershaw is unfairly dinged for his quote poor performances in the postseason. If you take out those starts against the cheating Astros and the cheating Red Sox, his numbers look really good. He's the type of guy you want on the mound in the postseason. Now, like Mark said, he didn't have a bullpen with him in the early stages. The bats would go cold in his games. It almost seemed like they just decided they weren't going to hit. Like, can Clayton win if we don't hit? Like, let's just see how that goes. So I think that look, Clayton Kershaw's the greatest pitcher of his generation.
Yeah.
Hands down. The best thing about this World Series is that Mark Pryor, the former Cub, got him a ring. So good for Mark Pryor.
There you go.
And it couldn't happen to a better guy with Kershaw. I mean, unbelievable teammate and family man, and in the community, and what he does with his foundation, Kershaw's Challenge. Just an unbelievable guy. And I really think he's got several more years left in him. And I think he'll pitch his entire career as a Dodger.
And Mike, I'm being told that I'm going to join you in Cooperstown. You and Mark in Cooperstown. I just saw the YouTube quote come up.
So Mike Jones says, Mark, we're going to join you for that induction.
Mark Nathan's already said that we're all going to Cooperstown when Kirsch goes in. So
yeah, there we go. Book it.
There you go. Hey, well, Mark, man, we can't thank you enough. And you were gracious enough to stay overtime with us. We can't thank you enough for joining us. Again, tell everybody kind of where they can find out what you do. And then, again, thanks for just all the behind the scenes from Game 6. It was really cool.
Yeah, thank you, guys. You can go to simplyafan.com, on Instagram, Simply a Fan Baseball, and on Twitter, simplyafan18. And, thank you guys for asking me to come on. I'm honored to be able to share a little bit of just insight, and I'm glad to have that connection with Kyle, with Lauren and Nathan. And, just a really exciting week in Dodger Nation to have won that first World Series in a long time.
Absolutely. Well, we'll bring you back on next spring and see if we can talk a little about the Dodgers and whether they can repeat.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back on Dad's Watching Sports.
Thanks, Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Dad's Watching Sports podcast has some exciting news for you. You guys have heard us talk about the RTF Sports Network. You can check out our show there, streaming each and every week on their Facebook page. And, of course, our podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Well, the RTF Network is rebranding to the All Access Sports Network. We're super excited about this and looking forward to providing our listeners all access to the world of sports, and in our case, dad life. Stay tuned for more information about the All Access Sports Network.
Welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and Kyle Castles. Kyle, that was really cool having Mark Jent join us. Just the stuff about being there for Game 6 and when he talked about the storytelling and talking to people about what is it that drives you to have a passion for the game of baseball and getting that, and the fact that he posted that as well. That stuff and information just really cool, and we appreciate him coming on.
Yeah, he's great. I actually during the break text Lauren and just said, "Look, Mark Jent's he's that Jent." You know what I mean?
That's right. Yes,
he was a really nice dude.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, Kyle, let's get into some other stuff. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the minivan. We both have the Honda Odyssey, and. Yep. The frustrations about the pulling out the spare tire and still don't know why in the world it's tucked underneath the middle console still makes absolutely no sense. I was showing that to my brother-in-law this weekend because I was trying to sell him on the minivan. And it's like, well, here's the one downfall, Mark, because you can't have this. So let me run you through this since Honda I know is listening, especially the Honda dealership that you and I both go to. We will not mention their names.
Famous race car driver. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah. So here's my thing, man. So we go to Honda or we say, hey, we got this recall on the backup cam. So something that Honda didn't install right, or there's something going on.
Something about a seal, right? It's not sealed right.
Yeah, it was making it foggy, something like that. Not a safety issue, but you just want it to be working right. So we take it in on Monday. Well, let me back up. I took it in last Monday. I get there and they tell me, "Oh, well, you're not scheduled till next Monday." It's like, no, I'm scheduled for this Monday, but okay, fine, I'll come back. Come back the next week. So my wife takes it in. They fix the backup camera. She's pulling out of the lot, and the front right sensor starts going off, the passenger side, and she's like, "Huh, that's not right." So she pulls back in. The guy's like, "Oh, Mrs. Draper, I'm so sorry. We'll get this fixed soon. We'll get this taken care of really quickly. We may have just missed a step or two when we were calibrating everything, but we'll get this right out to you." Takes it back in. They get it fixed. She leaves. Later on that day, she's driving her son around after she picked him up from school. The left side starts going off. All right, well, that's great. So then the next day I take it in. I guess that's Tuesday, and get there, and they're like, "All right, yeah, we'll take a look at it." I sit there for 2.5 hours. They bring it. They finally come back to me, and they're like, "All right, yeah, you got some dings on the sensors. Looks like maybe some rocks hit them or something. We'll take a look at it. I'll order the parts. They'll be here tomorrow. You can bring it back in tomorrow." So I sat there for 2.5 hours only to say, "We don't have the parts. Come back tomorrow." Okay, that's fine. I was able to get work done. That's fine. So come in on Wednesday, get there. Oh, before I left on Tuesday, I said, "Well, hey, we bought the platinum warranty coverage, so surely this will be covered." "Oh yeah, it'll be covered. I'll call it in." Get there, get the call on Wednesday, or going to go in on Wednesday. Get a call Wednesday morning Mr. Draper, you may want to give us a call back before you come in. Okay. Give him a call back. Yeah, so we got the parts in, but I was on the phone with the warranty company, and it's not going to be covered under warranty, unfortunately, because it's the sensor on the outside of the vehicle, which I guess even though you pay like $3,500 for the platinum warranty that's supposed to cover bumper to bumper, it doesn't actually include what's on the bumper, which drove me crazy. So we're on the phone with them for about 20 minutes, just talking through like, okay, so you're telling me we bring it in to fix the backup cam. Somehow the right sensor starts going off. Then somehow the left sensor starts going off. None of this was happening beforehand. You're telling me that two rocks somehow hit the sensors that are about this big on both sides. You're telling us that happened, and now that we're having to pay $450 for new sensors. That's not going to work for us. Long story short, they made it right. They put them in. I go up there. We don't have to pay for it. They put them in. As I'm leaving, they go, "Oh, Mr. Draper, you're done, but you're going to find this very funny. Just come out here and take a look." Well, they ordered the wrong color sensors. So we have white sensors on the black grille of our minivan. So man, it's like, we're trying to help you out here, Honda, but you're not doing us any favors, man.
Yeah. At that point, that's usually when Lauren pulls me back and does the talking, because I tend to say things I shouldn't say.
Well, man, I even said this. I said, look, I know you guys didn't purposefully mess this up. Like, I know that did not happen. But at the end of the day, man, we brought it here and it was fine. And then we left and it was not fine. So something happened between the time we brought it in and the time we left. And it wasn't, I can guarantee you what it was not. It was not a rock hitting on either side of an eighth of an inch of diameter.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, dang Honda, man, they're killing me. Kill me.
But you can easily paint. Just go get you some black touch-up paint.
I'm not touching it. I asked him, I said, the one thing that I want to know is this going to affect the trade-in value or the resale value of this in any way? And they assured me it would not. Although I don't know that I trust
you. You can't trust that.
No, I can't. TJ says, sounds like you need a Chevy. I don't disagree with you there.
Chevy doesn't make a minivan.
I know exactly. That's my point. I agree with him. Okay, Kyle. So one other thing that I'm springing this on you on our rundown here. But so on Friday, my family and I left to go down to Tuscaloosa. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So we're about to leave to go pick up the kids. My wife and I, neither one of us have eaten lunch yet. I said, "Hey, would you like a peanut butter sandwich?" She said, "Yeah, absolutely, but I'll just take like a half of a sandwich." So I made her a sandwich, and it looks like this. And for those of you that can't see the screen right now, go to Facebook or Twitter, and we have posted this on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Kyle, I've got to ask you: would you consider that the correct way to fold a half of a sandwich?
Yes. Wait. How do you fold it the other way? The other way, the bread's going to break, and then you have a whole sandwich.
Exactly. Well, Mrs. Draper disclaims that that's not the correct way. So we put this to the test of social media. I think she put it on her Facebook page or Instagram, and we did it across all kinds of sorts of places. It came to conclusion that it's about 50-50. Some people think it's the right way. Some people think it's the wrong way. Man, I was all in. How else do you fold a peanut butter sandwich?
Yeah, if she doesn't like the folding job of the peanut butter sandwich, one, she's wrong, and two, she can fold her own sandwich.
Exactly. And look, man, there's even banana. I even put banana on the sandwich,
which is super nice of you.
Absolutely. I went above and beyond, and all I got was criticized, man. I tell you about my folding skills. It's
you know what? I will take a half peanut butter banana sandwich.
Well,
like that.
I will fix it for you at some point in time for sure. All right, let's get into some football talk, man. We had a big weekend across college football. There was a lot going on. Really, the biggest news of the weekend was Trevor Lawrence. Earlier in the week, there had some news that come out that he I'm sure this is just speak for, he's got to say this kind of stuff. He said, I might not completely closing the door on coming back for my senior season. Yeah, right. But it came out over the last couple of days of the week that he had been tested positive for COVID. Had to sit out this weekend against Boston College. and is actually going to be out for their game at Notre Dame, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Your first initial news to Trevor Lawrence being out, and then Clemson fell behind, I think it was 28-10 to BC, and ended up coming back and rallying for the victory.
Well, I mean, look, I watched a good bit of that second half because I saw it was 28-10, 28-13 at half, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to see this. Obviously, they missed Trevor Lawrence, the freshman, and I know he was the number one quarterback in the nation last year. DJ, and I'm not going to attempt his last name.
Good, because I'm not either.
But DJ is not Trevor Lawrence. I know Trevor Lawrence came in as a freshman and just absolutely lit it up, and that's good for him. But not everybody can do that. Trevor Lawrence is a generational type talent. DJ is just a good football player. DJ doesn't throw a pretty ball. DJ does not doesn't have the decision making skills that Trevor Lawrence has. It's just he's not there. I'm probably hinting at who I'm going to pick between that Clemson Notre Dame game.
There you go.
As far as COVID, look, COVID's going to hit where COVID hits, and I'm shocked anytime the top players, and Trevor Lawrence is going to be the first pick in the draft this year. I was shocked when he didn't go ahead and just bow out and avoid this COVID issue altogether. He's not coming back for his senior year. He's going to be the first pick. He's going to go up there to the lowly Jets, and just, I pray for his sake that Adam Gase is no longer there, and they have somebody, I don't know who it is, but somebody that can mold Trevor Lawrence into a really good NFL quarterback. I guess that's my initial reaction.
There you go. And we'll touch on it at some point in time in the near future about does Trevor Lawrence pull Phillip Rivers or an Eli Manning and basically say, I'm refusing to go to San Diego, or in this case, New York Jets, because
he probably should.
He probably should, absolutely, because that franchise.
And quite frankly, that may be the reason he's even entertaining the idea of coming back.
Absolutely, and when you got the opportunity to play for a national championship year in year out, Heisman and kind of all the odds. A couple other big thoughts from this past weekend. Bama continued to roll, just absolutely just stomped Mississippi State into the ground. Yeah. I was at the game. Mississippi State from the get-go just outmatched on every ounce of every part of the ball, every side of the ball and everything. And Costello got knocked out. They brought in the freshman. He just couldn't do anything as well. Talking about Mississippi State and Leach, Kylan Hill, who was their best player coming back from last year, had over 1,000 yards last year for Mississippi State. It appears I don't know if it's official that he's opted out, but he has not been playing, and there's been some circling that he's opted out, that he's not coming back because of the style of play, and he wasn't getting the touches and things like that. You're a Mississippi State guy. What do you think about all this?
Look, Kylan Hill said that he wasn't coming back due to COVID and changed his mind, said that he wasn't going to play if the state of Mississippi didn't change the state flag, and then they did, and he came back and he played, and said he wasn't coming back when Moorhead was the coach, and when he was gone, that it was when Leach brought in. I mean, Kylan Hill can't decide what he wants to do, just to be really honest. The kid's a good football player. I think he'll be a middle round pick in the NFL, and he'll meander his way through the NFL and play 3, 4, 5 years, hopefully, and we'll see. But at the end of the day, Leach is, he's rating that roster as 6 players left the program on Alabama week. One of them, a former Alabama wide receiver that played pretty well at least the first 2 weeks of the season. So that's interesting enough because you would think he would at least want to stick around and play against Alabama. But the guys that aren't Leach guys, they don't seem to like him, and they're heading out. My hope is that Leach can just kind of recruit his way into doing what he's done in Lubbock and Pullman.
So they beat LSU the first game of the season. Everybody thought, oh, wow, here we go. LSU's turned out to not be the LSU of last year, or really the LSU of the past probably 5 to 10 years. Yeah. Mississippi State, they scored 2 points against Kentucky. They get shut out by Alabama. Is John Cohen, Mississippi State AD, looking around thinking, oh, boy, did I screw up here?
I think he has to, right? Because on top of that, went out and Leach was able to secure KJ Costello, who threw for thousands of yards in the Pac-12 and at Stanford, and looked like the type of guy that would have done well, and just nothing has worked after that LSU game. Yeah. And little did we know that LSU game worked because LSU's just not very good either.
Right.
Quite frankly, this is kind of what I expected from Mississippi State this year, but then they got everybody's hopes up beating LSU the way they did.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. I think this needs to be because of Leach's system and all that, and just the different type of dude Leach is. I think this is something you don't just blow up in a year. I think you got to give him 3 to 4 years at least, and see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it sure would be nice if we could have kept Dan Mullen.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the Lane train is they're moving along a little bit down there in Oxford.
Yeah, I mean, they're
some points.
Yeah, they're starting to put things together. Now, they played Vanderbilt, who, quite frankly, might be the only team worse than Mississippi State in the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Big 12 pretty much fell out of the playoff picture. Oklahoma State falling to Texas in overtime at home. The Cowboys, really the Big 12's only shot pretty much at a playoff team. So Big 12 looks like they're out. That opens the door possibly for Georgia, Florida, or Texas A&M to be a second SEC team in the playoff.
Well, the people that should be most happy are people in Los Angeles, California, and Eugene, Oregon, right? You needed something like this. You need one of those other Power Fives to not have a team worth putting in, so that you got a shot playing your 7-game season.
Yep.
So if SC or if Oregon 1 can come in and run the table, maybe they can sneak their way into that 4 seed and beat out a 1-loss SEC team or a 2-loss SEC team. Yep.
Harbaugh loses again to Sparty. Michigan State comes into the big house. Man, it just seems like Michigan. I think it was one of our guests here recently said, if Harbaugh's not going to get it done there, nobody's going to get it done there.
Yeah,
Michigan they're kind of like a Texas. Everybody thinks they're always back, and then they just kind of fall apart. Were you surprised that Michigan State got that win?
Surprised? No. I mean, look, I know I'm an SEC guy and you're an SEC guy, and we bag on the Big Ten, but the Big Ten plays good football.
Yeah.
And they
good.
are
not great. Good. Not
you're
great.
right, but they're like a step 2 SEC, right? Like they're not there, but they're right here. They're right here, and so it looks a lot like the SEC, where there are good teams spread throughout the conference, and anybody can be anybody on any given day. If you come in with your bad game and they come in with their good game, so yeah, I don't know that it shocks me. I'm not a Michigan fan by any means, but I do like Harbaugh. I don't know what it is, but I like John Harbaugh as a human being, and so I kind of pull that he can turn this around, but I don't think he can. I mean, at this point, I don't know, and I know people disagree with me. I don't know that Scott Frost can turn around at Nebraska. And if Scott Frost can't, nobody else can. Yeah. If John Harbaugh can't get Michigan back to winning national titles, nobody else is going to be able to do it. Quite frankly, if Tom Herman can't win in Texas, I don't know who can do it. Short of a Nick Saban going to one of those.
Right.
And I don't see Nick Saban leaving Tuscaloosa ever.
No.
Not at this point. So for me, just personally, those teams, Tennessee's another one where they always think like, oh, we got a shot. We can get back to you're not getting back to your glory days. Like that's not going to happen anymore.
No, it's
Be
not.
happy with your 8 to 10 wins a season. If you get that.
Oh, without a doubt. So one topic that came out over the past week that is going to be awesome is College Game Day. Because of the Masters moving to November, College Game Day has decided we're going to have the best of both worlds, and they're going to Augusta in a few weeks. Obviously, there won't be a crowd, but as someone I'm a college football fan. I love College Game Day. I've been to it a couple of times, live and in person. I used to get up at 6 a.m. when we lived on the West Coast and watch it out there. It's just an awesome deal. And to have it at Augusta in a couple of weeks where you got college football during the day and or you get the Masters kind of during the day and then leads up to some good college football that night, man, it is going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we all love Augusta National. I wish it would look like Augusta National does in the spring with the flowers blooming and all that. It's not going to be as pretty, but still, it's Augusta National. It is the Masters, and hopefully Lee can actually get on site for that one because I think he would love it.
I think so too. That brings up a really good point. We'll get to this, and then we're going to get one quick Bachelorette update if you have one. If not,
I got one.
Okay, good. I was hoping you would, and then we're going to skip Tony La Russa for maybe another show. Lee Corso, man, it just pains me to see the old ball coach. You know, he's got his moment of lapses on the show. He's not obviously there in person. When does he need to hang it up?
Look, at this point, and look, I think one of the biggest reasons he's still there is because Kirk Herbstreit just wants him there.
Yeah.
You can tell there is great respect, love between Kirk Herbstreit and Lee Corso.
Yeah.
I don't know that he doesn't need to just come in at the end and put the headgear on and call it a day at this point.
Yeah.
As much as I love the Sunshine Scooter.
Yeah, and I do too, but I think that I'm sure that there are people that either have had a conversation or will be in the near future of, hey, hey coach, this has been a great run, but there comes a point in time in which, everybody's kind of past their prime, and even if it's somebody that loves him to death and says, hey, look, got some slips and things aren't just not as sharp as you used to be, and you hate to see it because I mean we grew up with game day. I mean it really started like early 90s, and just having him put the headgear on at the end of the show is one of the greatest traditions in college football, and to eventually lose that is going to be a sad day. It's kind of like Dick Vitale when he decides to quit calling college basketball games. Yeah. So you said you had a Bachelorette update. I have not watched a single episode, so I'm looking forward to this. What do you got for us?
Well, in the teaser commercials or spots, whatever for the season, you hear whatever the host's name is, Chris something, I think, say you have officially blown up the Bachelorette, and you didn't realize what that was until the end of the episode this past week. There is one guy on the show. His name is Dale. Dale.
Like Earnhardt?
Right? Yes, like D-A-L-E Dale.
Give me Dale.
when he stepped out of the limo and met Claire, who's our Bachelorette, and he walked inside to the mansion, she said out loud, "I just met my husband."
Ooh, nice.
And
called her shot, huh?
She called her shot, and that's the only thing she's cared about since then is spending time with him.
30 other guys around.
Yeah, there were 31 guys night one, and she's gone through 3 weeks. Literally, the episode ended basically telling us, like, she is not going to be on the show moving forward. Her and Dale are done. They are going to go do this thing. And there is a new Bachelorette joining the show.
How many? They're like 3 episodes in?
Like 3 episodes in, 4 episodes in, something like that.
Oh man, Claire with the curveball, nice.
And her response is basically like, "I can't help it. This is what I want, and this is why I showed up for the show, was to meet a guy. And here's the guy."
There you go.
So you know what? Good for them.
Bachelor Nation is up in arms, but yeah,
so,
good for them.
Tasha, who was on Colton's season, is coming in, and we'll see how it goes.
Bachelorette Tasha, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's how you say her name, Taysshia, or Tashia. I don't know.
We'll say Tasha.
I'm going with Tasha. I don't remember. My hope is that she comes in and she likes some of the guys, and they all feel like they have a shot. Because I mean, they were talking about walking out on Claire because they were just
so they're keeping all the same guys,
keeping the same guys,
nice,
and bringing in a new Bachelorette. So
nice.
We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I would be interested to hear, like, how long did the guys have to wait there without a girl before they pulled in Tasha? Like, did somebody call somebody out of the pen?
Well,
Tasha?
My guess would be they have like a backup if something goes wrong. But here's the thing, like, this is being taped during COVID, during quarantine. Yeah. Like,
she had to quarantine for 2 weeks. Clearly,
does she have to quarantine for 2 weeks and test positive or test negative for the?
I know what they do. It's like the designated survivor during like the State of the Union. You got the president, the vice president, everybody's there. So you got that one person that sits back.
So she's just been off in a room by herself.
She's been off in a room by herself, watching it all on TV, and then they bring her in. She's been quarantined for 2 weeks. That's it. Yep. All right, man, we are well overdue for another break. We're going to go to a break in just a second. Coming up, we got a little stuff we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get to our picks. And Kyle, we have a celebrity guest picker joining us. You don't even know who it is.
I don't know.
Very excited about this. So we'll be right back after the break on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all stick with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Dad's Watching Sports podcast has some exciting news for you. You guys have heard us talk about the RTF Sports Network. You can check out our show there, streaming each and every week on their Facebook page. And, of course, our podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Well, the RTF Network is rebranding to the All Access Sports Network. We're super excited about this and looking forward to providing our listeners all access to the world of sports and, in our case, dad life. Stay tuned for more information about the All Access Sports Network.
Welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and Kyle Castles. We're fresh off some Bachelorette talk, and we'll get into some more sports here in just a second. But Kyle, we're going to kind of skip through some of these topics because we're way long. But one thing I did want to bring up is, man, the world lost a gem over the weekend with Sir Sean Connery passing away. Obviously, my guess is probably most famously known from his role as James Bond, one of the original James Bond characters, played that well.
Quite frankly, he's the one. There was one James Bond, I forget who it was before him, but he's the one that really showed how to play James Bond. He was the one that famously said, "Shaken, not stirred." Like that was his line. So yeah, he is James Bond.
Well, so that brings me to a quick question. So, just off the top of your head, I know I didn't put this in the show notes, but any favorite movies from Sean Connery?
Okay, it's funny you say that. I was thinking about, what is Sean Connery going to be remembered for? Now, obviously, I think it's the James Bond movies, but the first thing I think of when I think Sean Connery, and I forget who actually did the imitation, but the SNL Celebrity Jeopardy skit where Sean Connery is just giving Alex Trebek hell.
We can't really say a lot of it on this family-friendly podcast.
I actually was watching some of those on YouTube, waiting on the show to start tonight, just because I was like, I miss that.
Those are classic, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm a big James Bond fan. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago, but I think his role in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, where he plays Indiana Jones' dad, it was perfectly casted role for him. And just, he was older. He wasn't the serious guy that he was in James Bond. He was very witty and very just kind of quirky and stuff. And I thought he was fantastic in that movie. So definitely rest in peace, Mr. Connery. Hopefully you're enjoying a vodka martini shaken, not stirred right now. Kyle, let's get in quickly into some NFL talk really quick, and then we'll get to our celebrity guest picker for college football. Any big surprises from this week in the NFL for you?
I don't know if I'm not going to make that my surprise. What I'll say is, look, Drew Brees is now the career touchdown leader. He passed Tom Brady, so it's really interesting that we have the two touchdown passing leaders in the NFL right now going head to head in the same division of the same conference. For me, it'll just be fun as a Saints fan and as a football fan. It's almost like that 98 McGuire Sosa. Who's going to end up with the most at the end of the year?
Yeah.
And so it'll be fun to see who ends up on top.
Yeah, for me, a couple of surprises. Well, I wouldn't say this is a huge surprise. Tua really played really well for the Dolphins. The Dolphins got a big win today, and Tua came out looking like Tua. And kudos to that kid, man. There had been so much scrutiny, and some of it was placed by us and others that he should not have been the starting quarterback, and he came out and delivered. And good for him. And the Titans losing to the Bengals is just such a bad loss, and it's so Titans.
It was a bad loss. I don't know if you actually watched it, but I actually watched that game. I mean, they just got beaten by the Bengals. It wasn't like the Bengals kind of fluked their way in, and they just got beaten.
Yeah, and that's so the Titans, man. They beat teams that they're not supposed to. They lose to teams they're not supposed to every year, and they'll finish 8-8. And that's just the way that it goes. And their defense is really struggling. Another Minnesota beating Green Bay was also one that I was a little shocked to see.
And there again, I mean, Green Bay just got beat up. I mean, Dalvin Cook ran for, I think, over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. And, that Vikings offensive line just took it to that Packers front. And that's what Mike Zimmer, the head coach there in Minnesota, that's what he wants to do. He wants to run the football with Dalvin Cook. Don't make Kirk Cousins win a ball game. Play good defense, run the football, and you win ball games.
Yep. So both the Steelers and the Seahawks remain undefeated. So Kyle, I got to ask you, which one of them is going to lose first? You look at the schedule. So next week, Pittsburgh's at Dallas, Seattle's at Buffalo. Week after that, Pittsburgh's hosts Cincinnati, Seattle's at LA. Pittsburgh at Jacksonville, Seattle versus Arizona, maybe. Then week 12, Pittsburgh hosts Baltimore, who they beat today. That's on Thanksgiving Day. Seattle is at Philadelphia. Pittsburgh versus Washington, Seattle versus the Giants. Pittsburgh at Buffalo, Seattle versus the Jets. Could we see both these teams going week 15, 16 undefeated? Do you think they'll stumble somewhere?
No, they'll stumble. I mean, you didn't expect to see the Vikings beat the Packers. You didn't expect to see the Bengals beat the Titans. You're going to see them lose. I think the Steelers they go undefeated longer. I think they go undefeated until Thanksgiving. I think the Seahawks lose in that trip to Buffalo, quite honestly. And I don't think that derails the season. I think both these teams end up being the number one seed in their conference. And if you tell me it's Seattle, Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl this year, my Super Bowl pick's way off. So
aren't all of ours.
So, yeah, my Cowboys pick looks really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Seattle, Pittsburgh. That's a good pick, and right now they're the two best teams in the league.
Yeah, without a doubt they are. All right, Kyle. So before we get to our celebrity guest picker for the week, our picks update, man. You are you're running shop here. So you are 20-5 in your picks. I am just slightly behind you at 13-12. So you've got a little bit of a.
What did I tell you from the beginning? I played college football. Therefore, that's a crock of crap. You're just lucky guesser. And I like to go out on a limb, man. I like to go out on a limb. My picks. I'm going to continue to do that this week. You continue to do that, and you will continue to have those limbs break underneath you.
There you go. All right, guys. Let's bring in our celebrity guest picker. It's none other than TJ Burns, who joins us on the show. Gives us some great comments throughout the week. TJ, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing? You'll hear me all right?
Yeah, we're doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us. So really quickly, you guys know, you noticed TJ's rocking his A&M hat. They got a big win over Arkansas. Matt conveniently decides to no-show on the podcast.
And I brought my bacon too.
And you brought your bacon for Matt, I know. And he just conveniently couldn't be on to face you. Well, thanks for joining us for some picks. We've got some good games that are coming up. Some really good games this weekend. We're going to start off, guys, with a couple of non-Power 5 teams. You got BYU at Boise State. This is a good one. It's going to be on the blue field. Kyle, I'll go to you first. BYU, man, putting up a lot of points. They're right there. It's kind of positioning themselves to maybe sneak in the playoff if a few teams stumble. You like the Cougars, or you got to go with Boise on the blue?
Look, the Broncos are hard to beat on the blue, but give me the Cougars.
Okay. Is it late night Cougars for you as well, TJ, or are you going with Boise State?
You know what? I love that blue field, but I got to go BYU.
I'm going to go BYU as well. If you guys catch ESPN a lot right before BYU comes on, they talk about the Cougars after dark because they usually play late, which is a little funny play on words there, but they have to watch out for those Cougars after dark. So Oklahoma State and Kansas State, this would have been a really good game had both of them not lost this past weekend, but we're going to pick it anyways. I'll go first. I think the Cowboys will bounce back after their loss to Texas and go into the Little Manhattan and knock off Kansas State. TJ, who you got?
You know what? This is one of my favorite Big 12 games. I'm going to go with OK State as well.
Okay, nice. Kyle?
This is probably the hardest game you got me up here picking this week. I'm going to Oklahoma State. I'm going with the Cowboys and the Fighting Mike Gundys, but I don't feel comfortable there.
Yeah, it's always tough to go into Kansas State and win. And Kansas State seems like they always get a win they're not supposed to.
But they have that win against Oklahoma.
They did. That's right. As soon as I said that, I was thinking, you know what? They did beat Oklahoma. Guys, the Pac-12 joins the party this weekend. The Fighting Herm Edwards in Arizona State, they go into USC. USC, Oregon, really the top two teams in the Pac-12 that have an opportunity to possibly work their way into the playoff. Kyle, I'll go to you first. Does Herm Edwards shock the world and shock the Trojans and knock USC out of playoff contention?
I mean, I think he'd love that, but yeah, give me the Trojans.
Trojans, all right. TJ, Arizona State or USC?
I got to go USC here.
Okay. I'm going to go USC as well. It's I feel like we talk about this almost I feel like every week. Whether it's we talked about Michigan earlier, we talk about Texas, we talk about these teams that are college football is just better when they're good. USC is one of those teams. I hope that they can put a strong showing together here, and I'll take USC as well. Guys, it's no longer called the cocktail party, but we're going to refer to it as the world's largest cocktail party. Jacksonville is the host site for Florida and Georgia. This almost every single year decides the East. It looks like it'll do that this year. Florida, who knows if they're going to have their whole team they had after that fight against Missouri this past weekend. TJ, you got the Gators or are you going with the Bulldogs?
This was a tough one for me, but after last week, I think Georgia's the best team to beat Bama, so I'm going to go with the Dogs.
All right, Kyle, you got the Gators or the Dogs?
This one's hard. And I
Come on,
picked
man, you
this
play
one.
college football.
I
This
know.
should be easy for you.
I actually picked this one easy, but now I'm looking at it again, going, "Gosh, dog, it's hard." Okay, so I'm going to actually change what I picked to begin with.
Okay, nice.
I'm going Georgia in a close one.
In a close one, closer than the experts think. Although the experts think it's going to be mighty close. I will be interested to see. I haven't seen a spread yet to see where that game is, but to see who's favored. My guess is Georgia will be favored, maybe by 2.5, something like that.
I gave Georgia by 3.
It'll be close. I am going to go out on a limb because I might as well. I got to catch you somehow, some way. So I'm going to say the Gators, Gator Chomp, the Fighting Mullins come in with only half of a team and knock off the Bulldogs on their way to Atlanta. All right, last game, guys, and this is a big one. This has major playoff implications for both teams. You got Clemson Tigers. They will be without Trevor Lawrence going into South Bend. Biggest football game in Notre Dame in a long time. I mean, I guess Georgia came there a couple of years ago, but really biggest game in Notre Dame probably 20 years in that stadium. I'm going with the Fighting Irish. I think no Trevor Lawrence. I think Notre Dame's I just think they finally rise to the occasion. They haven't done it under Chip Kelly yet, and I think they're able to do it here. So I'm going with the Irish. TJ, you got the Tigers or the Irish?
You know what? Originally I picked Notre Dame, but I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go Clemson because I'm still buying what they're selling for now. So okay, I'm going to go with Clemson.
They're selling something good, that's for sure, and a lot better than any of our teams are. But, yeah. So, Kyle, here you go. We got one pick for Clemson. We got one pick for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Who do I got? Well, I spent a good bit of time in that first segment, second segment, talking about DJ, whatever his last name is, and about how he didn't play well, he didn't look good, and he's not Trevor Lawrence. But you know who Clemson still has? Dabo.
And they've got a lot of good talent.
They do, and they got Dabo. And I saw Dabo at the end of that BC game. Dabo wasn't happy. Dabo gets them right to go into South Bend and put a
true freshman. Oh,
a beating on the Irish. Because this is what the Irish do. They look good. Then they run up against a true team, a real team like Alabama in that national title game, right? They run up against somebody that can play with them, and they lay down. Gimme the Tigers.
The Tigers. All right, so we got 2 picks for Clemson. And I'll stick with the Fighting Irish. Hey, TJ, man, we appreciate you joining us to give us the picks and look forward to the Aggies, man. I don't know if you follow Peter Burns on Twitter for the SEC Network. He was a guest on our show not too long ago. Okay. He is all about your Aggies making a push to the playoff, thinking that they basically went out. Georgia upends Alabama in the SEC championship game, and they kind of backdoor their way into the playoff. You buying that?
Not yet. I think our defense isn't quite there, and I'm not sold on Mond. He's gotten better since the Florida game, Florida, Arkansas, obviously, but I'm just not sold on him yet.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody's sold on him.
Yeah, but I think they got a shot, man. They got a good shot. But hey, we definitely appreciate you joining us to make the picks, and we appreciate you listening every single week. Thanks a lot, TJ.
Yes, sir.
All right, Kyle. It's the end of the show, my man.
It is.
It was a good one. But there is one last thing I wanted to bring up. Guys, get out there and vote Tuesday. I'm not telling you who to vote for. This isn't a political show, but just get out there and do your civic duty and cast your ballot if you haven't already.
Absolutely. Look, I'm an AP Gov teacher. Go vote. I got one kid that can vote in the election this year, and I told him, get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care. Kanye West is on the ballot in Tennessee. Go vote for Kanye, but dadgummit, go vote.
It's happening. That's who I'm voting for. So, all right, man. Well, enjoyed it as always. TJ, thank you, sir. Mark Gents, thank you very much, sir. And we are out of here. This has been Dad's Watching Sports, the extended version. We will see you next week. Y'all take care. Good night, everybody.